This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Brewers Outlet, and Purdy Insurance.
Oh, boy. Everybody does need an elixir once in a while. Were the Raiders the Eagles' elixir?
Yeah, the Raiders were perfect. I like it. Perfect elixir. Yeah, here's my only question. If they had won the game yesterday 21-17, people would have said, yeah, but it's the Raiders. If they had won it 60-0, people would have said, yeah, it's the Raiders. They won it 31-0. They did exactly what they needed to do. They got their offense righted. They put up a shutout. Yes, we all know it's the Raiders. Yes, we know they're one of the worst teams in the National Football League. I'm not now declaring the Eagles definitive back-to-back champions because of that, but you lose 3 in a row, you take a win, and you take a dominant win. You didn't write the schedule. You didn't put the Raiders into your schedule just to stop a losing streak. So take it, be happy with it. We'll see about next week when we get to next week, but at least the losing is stopped.
But, again, to me it's about execution. Did you go out, execute? Did you look crisp doing it? Or did you have to fight your way through another one? They didn't have to fight their way through another one. And so you walk out of there and feel at least better about the execution of it.
And Jalen Hurts, who came under some serious scrutiny, even some knuckleheads suggesting it was Tanner McKee time, he goes out and throws almost another perfect game. He already had one perfect quarterback ranking this year, and he came up just short of it by a point or so yesterday, 154 and change, whatever it was. He's their quarterback. Now you just need to move off the fact that he threw in a clunker, he had a bad game, 5 turnovers. By any quarterback's a bad game, but
sure,
he came back and answered yesterday, which means hopefully the fools will get off the let's think about changing the quarterback position. Was never going to happen, isn't going to happen. They're living and dying with Jalen Hurts, and they lived big time yesterday.
And look, and part of this is, and I know next man up happens, but there's a reason why that guy is starting instead of him. In fact, there's a long list of reasons why that guy is starting. The Eagles have had multiple injuries up front. What has that done to the cohesion of an offensive line that last year everybody knew what everybody else was doing?
Right. When you lose Lane Johnson, you lose Lane Johnson. He's arguably the best right tackle in football. So, sorry, Fred. Appreciate the effort. There's going to be a drop-off when he comes out of the lineup, and we've been seeing this for years with the Eagles. I'm a little worried about the center not being as good as I thought he was going to be. See, what you don't know is how hurt are these guys playing. You know Dickerson's been hurt because he's had to come off the field and then fights his way back on. He's nowhere near 100%. I don't know if they're going to get to 100% between now and the end of the season. You have to hope that if you're an Eagle fan, that at least they'll be healthy by the time the playoffs roll around. But the offensive line yesterday, again, it's the Raiders. They didn't put up much of a push. The offensive line looked good. Was that because of the level of competition, or did they get a week healthier? We'll find out over these last 3 regular season games.
All right. This is only just my observation, but I just felt that after A.J. Brown talked a lot, there seemed to be a conscious effort to get him the ball. Meanwhile, Kyle Schwarber's over there at wide receiver, right? The home run guy, Devontae Smith. And I felt that going to Brown was to the detriment of the offense because that meant Smith wasn't getting the ball. Do I have any credence with that opinion?
Are you sure? I think AJ, I don't want to say he forced their hand, but he let everyone know that he wasn't happy in the meetings that we don't get to see behind closed doors between Patullo and Sirianni and Hurts. They cover as much as they feel need to make sure AJ gets the ball, and I think Hurts was forcing it to him a little bit. Nice spread of the offense yesterday, a full slice of pie for Dallas Goedert, which he answered the bell with 2 more touchdowns. The Eagles are at their best when they're sharing the ball between all 3 of the receivers they have. I know the former Penn State kid doesn't get the ball thrown his way. Sorry about that, but they got 3 guys in line ahead of him. When they're all getting to eat a little bit, the Eagles are just a better team, and it was a nice balance yesterday. And you should tip your hat to Devontae Smith because he never complains.
That's
On
right.
any given day, he can end up being the third option. There's a whole bunch of teams in the National Football League where he would be wide receiver one, and he never says anything. He just makes the big plays when necessary. The Eagles are very lucky to have such a player.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. As for Jahan, you have to know your place. Okay, it's simple as that. I kind of look around and go, that guy's more talented than me. I'll just make sure I do my part.
Right.
I didn't get to the defense, so we'll get to it now because it wasn't like it was always the offense. The defense, for the most part, has played pretty well. How do you feel like they played in the last month?
Month only okay. Yesterday, great, because, again, not much of a competition out there on the other side of the ball from them. But Dory Jackson, after getting hurt, has come back and played pretty well. We know the rest of their secondary is outstanding. Quinyon Mitchell might just be the best cover corner in the entire National Football League. And, oh, by the way, Marcus Epps came back and played well yesterday at the safety position where they've got a hold because of an injury. And I always liked Epps his first time through when they won the Super Bowl. He's a guy who, much like the guy DeHaan Johnson, knows his job, does his job. Not going to be out there making highlight film plays, not going to come up with a pass and take it at a house with a pick six. But he just does what he's supposed to do, and I thought he had an excellent game yesterday. And that has been a question because of injuries to the safety position other than Blankenship. So to get a big day out of Marcus Epps yesterday, I thought was pretty important.
And it's still, every time I watch Nakobe Dean, I just feel like he was a Howie Roseman steal. I just really like how he plays the game.
And he's one of those guys, and we have this conversation every year. I did on my show, when I did Birds 365 for 3 years, we talked about it probably too much. What will Howie do as far as extending players? Because he's been very good at picking just the right guys and giving them the extensions. Last year they didn't do any, but that's why they'll have compensatory picks this year because they let a whole bunch of free agents walk away. I thought all along at some point when Nakobe came back from the injury and showed that he's as good as he ever was, that they would have a conversation along those lines. It's never materialized. I hope they don't lose him. I think they believe he's a staple. Campbell never gets on the field anymore because they don't want to take either Nakobe or Bourne off the field. I hope this is not the last season of Nakobe Dean here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he's just really good at what he does. And the next part is the Cowboys, after losing to Minnesota, that means that the Eagles, they go out and they beat Washington. They've got that part sewn up.
Agreed. Division is in their back pocket, not officially the magic number's one, but Cowboys are going to lose at least one of their last three. Eagles are going to win at least one of their last three. So the division is theirs. What they'll probably end up fighting for is that number 2 seed. Yeah. And that's a key element. Of course, you want to be number 1. I'm not sure the Rams are coming back to them, but or the Seahawks could rip off 3 in a row and stay in front of the Eagles too. So getting number 1 is going to be tough because the Seahawks play the Rams. One of them's got to lose, which is good, but one of them's got to win, which is bad. So number 2 seed in the NFC is something they should have their eyes on. They're there with the Bears, who they have a tiebreaker loss to because they got beat that Friday here in Philly in probably the most embarrassing game of the entire year. But I still think that finishing second in the NFC is within their grasp as long as they finish strong.
Right, and there's another element to it as well. For the Rams, being the number 1 seed to me is critical because you end up playing – it's not that you're playing at home. You're playing in conditions that allow you to thrive as to how you need to thrive. Philadelphia can thrive in cold weather or nice weather. The Rams can't. I mean, I know the Rams played a heck of a game last year in Philadelphia at the Link before Philadelphia won it. But again, I think for conditions, I think the Rams need to be a number 1 seed.
And, yeah, when they've got their offense on their field with their talent, you know they're scoring 30 points. They're just that good. They're basically unstoppable with Stafford throwing it the way he is and Puka Nacua being – I said this back in September, and at the time it might have been a bit of a hot take, and I'm glad that it continued to hold up. Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in the National Football League at catching the ball, at making the play, at moving the sticks. He might not be the highlight player that a couple other guys around the league are, the Chases, the Jeffersons, but you're just talking about a wide receiver, 3rd and 8. He's got to get open. You need to move the sticks. I'll throw it to Puka Nacua before anybody else in the league. So, yeah, the Rams have a lot of weapons, I would say. That would be the number one team the Eagles are going to have to beat if they want to get back to a Super Bowl.
And there's another part of it. Both teams know they're going to him, and he still makes plays. That tells me how special he is.
He really is. And, oh, by the way, it's not like they should do that or could do that because they've got no answer on the other side. Devontae Adams has, 10 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns? I don't know he got hurt in yesterday's game. Don't know the extent just yet. Didn't seem like anything serious. They should be back for the postseason at the very latest. But, yeah, they got 2 talented wide receivers. But as good as Devontae Adams is, like I said, he put up numbers, scored touchdowns. I take Puka Nacua over him every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Jody, it was also a tough day on the injury front with Patrick Mahomes' ACL done. Micah Parsons been confirmed, ACL done. It's part of the game. You and I both know it. But how tough is that just for a fan that wants to see guys like that?
Of course, it stinks. And both of them, Parsons' play was non-contact.
Right.
QB Knicks put a great move on him. He thought he was going to try and get around the outside, and he turned it back on field into the middle of the defense, which you don't usually see a quarterback do. So that's why Micah planted as hard as he did and did what he did to his knee. Yeah, I think that severely compromises the Packers and their chances on playoff time. Chiefs were done anyway. These last 3 games, Andy Reid can take it easy. I know some people are suggesting that Andy's going to walk away. I don't think so. I think Andy's still very much motivated. With this season being as down as it turned out to be and will continue to be, I absolutely believe Andy Reid's back in Kansas City next year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Schwarber re-signing with the Phillies. Your opinion on the importance of just getting him back?
Major. I hit this one. Now, some people threw it out midsummer, the numbers. I didn't come around to him probably till August or September. I say he's going to get $30 million per. I thought maybe the Phillies could get lucky and they'd get a 4-year deal with a vesting option that would take it to a 5th. They had to go to a hard 5 years at $30 million per. Believe me when I tell you, what Kyle Schwarber is going to give them the next 3 years, that will cover the $150 million tab with how many fans he's going to put in the seats, how well he's going to play. By the time we get to year 5, we might be saying, really, Kyle Schwarber, $30 million? You got to do that. If you want a player as badly as they wanted to keep him, and they should have, you got to go a little bit longer, a little bit higher than you may feel comfortable with. It could have been even more outrageous. I think the Phillies got a guy that they desperately needed to keep, and they got him at fair value. Won't say great value, but I'll say fair value.
Adolis Garcia. What does that mean, A, for the Phillies, but what does it mean for Nick Castellanos?
Here's where I'll be a little critical of the Phillies. I think they've actually handled the Castellanos thing pretty badly.
Yes.
They let it be known that he couldn't come back, and they didn't want him back, and they were going to try and trade him. But now everybody in the world knows he's going to be traded, and he's making $20 million this year. So good luck trading him at that. You'd have to eat 16, 17, 18 million. So when you're saving stuff, $2 million, I guess it's better than nothing. But I thought that they should have moved quicker and stealthier than they did. But I don't think there's any way Nick Castellanos can be back with this team.
Anything the Phillies should do between now and spring training that could help in some ways? And it doesn't have to be a big name, but where would it be?
Well, shoot, I'd love to get Ranger back. If I'm a betting man, I'd bet against it. But, hey, he hasn't been grabbed up. The pitching market has been slow, though. Cease was the only one who signed for value to 2026 value with Toronto. So there's still a couple other pitchers out there. I don't know if Major League Baseball's just made the decision not to pay the big bucks for starting pitching. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So I think he's going to get paid. I think he's going to land somewhere. I think it's more likely going to be outside Philly than inside Philly. But they could use a little starting pitching depth, not the high level of Ranger, but just another solid starting arm in case Painter isn't quite ready to step in. I would say that would be their next priority.
I do have to ask you one more. In less than a year, the CBA runs out. Now, the reality is there's still another 14 and a half, 15 months to go on this because you're not worried about spring training. But how do you view that right now, the importance of getting it done, and how contentious could it be in your opinion?
I think it could be contentious for one reason more than anything else, and they're called the LA Dodgers. They've now won 2 in a row. They spend more money than anybody else. They've taken advantage of the loophole of, well, you can give a guy a 10-year contract and make it a 20-year contract by doing deferred payments, and that loophole will guaranteed to be shut. That I can guarantee you. But there are going to be small market clubs that are going, we can't compete. This is not fair. We want to be able to tell our fans at least we've got a shot, and we can't do that with the LA Dodgers in Major League Baseball and what they're spending. So I think that would be the biggest sticking point, a potential salary cap that will be hard fought on both sides, owners for it, players against it. If I'm a betting man, they won't be reporting to spring training in February. They might not get the season underway on time. I think it could be rather contentious, and the fact that the Dodgers, as the highest spending team, have won back-to-back World Series is probably going to be the biggest a hardline point that they're going to have to get over.
Yet, even in their own ownership, you mentioned the lower-level teams, the Royals, the Pirates, the Rays, Marlins, people don't want to spend money. They don't want a salary cap because guess what the cap brings with it? A floor. And they don't want to have get more money because of a floor. So even they have people within their own ranks that aren't for it.
No, then if that's the case, if you got the right read on it, then we won't have a salary. If I were a betting man, do I think a salary cap's going to be in place? The answer is no. Baseball, the Players Association has held firm on that forever, so they're not going to back away now. If we want to play baseball in 2027, I think there's got to be a compromise where there's higher penalties for going over a certain number, not a hard cap, but just that much more to pay on top of it. And the Dodgers might just be willing to pay hundreds of millions of dollars and not even sweat it.
Happy holidays, my good friend. I appreciate you so much. It's always great having you on.
Always my pleasure. Anytime you want, anytime you need. Just get me one of those cocktails next time you get me on.
I will. And by the way, I did give Grunkemeyer your message.
Oh, cool. I like that kid. He's going to be a player. Penn State will be much improved. And, oh, by the way, I know this whole spree, the whole way the coach thing went down.
Yep.
They did just fine. Campbell's hell of a coach.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was luck or what, but they'll be perfectly fine going forward with him calling the shots.
I agree with that. I think he is the right guy at the right moment. All right. Yep. Jody, thank you, Bob. See you.
Happy holidays to you, Steve, and all your listeners.
Thank you, Jody. Happy holidays to you and your great family and listeners as well. All right. This half hour is brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. Ready-to-drink cocktails, High Noon, Jack Daniel's Crown Royal. And the pickle bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. Stock up for the holidays at Brewers Outlet. Gift cards as well. As we continue on News Radio 1070 WKOK.